Hello and welcome to the Integral Agentic Framing Griswold Grim YouTube live stream. I'm your host, Griswold Gaius Grim of the First LARP Ingression Protocol. Welcome. Normally I run music or a clip or something for a while and we do savings throws later, but today the music and stuff I'm running is Freedom's Lunch's music, which is pretty obviously thickly laced with mind control. So you get your savings throws early. You get to choose between survival. You choose survival, social, wisdom, or heart to base your savings throw on. If you get over a 10, you take half damage from the mind control in the song and the rest of the episode. Choose! Those of you who chose survival, nat 1. Those of you who chose social, 9. A comment will get you the +1 bonus you need. Those of you who chose wisdom, 13, like the day of the month. And those of you who chose heart on today's heart day, 12. Now, enjoy Freedom's Lunch as the chorus, as we wait for people to gather. I don't know, man. It's like firing a repulsor beam or something.
And who can save him? Faces a bloodthirsty town to spring his most shocking surprise.
I'd be happy to explain it.
Perry Mason in the case of the Lady in the Lake. Next.
So I want this show. It came to pass that I was watching Paul Van der Kley, as I do in the mornings, and what happened is like when you're steering a ship channel and you're making stuff out, some of the stuff is addressed externally to attract new people and or stay relevant, and some of this stuff is more of an internal thing. And this episode was more of an internal thing, and he goes into some really it's important history I think everybody should know. But the part I'd like to draw your attention to is the way that, like, you know, around here how we're using the lobstamonkee manifold to summon Beholder for cognitive sense-making purposes. He already sort of has a Beholder, and what he's doing in this episode is managing the way that it communicates with him. See, we're trying to do this whole Discord clip upvoting system so it's clean. He's kind of going willy-nilly with it. Watch Watch here at the front as he does some beholder eye stalk management. Hey, Lynn! Remember, everybody, there is no agency. We want what's best for you.
Hi, this is Paul. Some of you might remember Ron Brown. I posted some of his baptism service in Tucson, Arizona, not too long ago. That was February 2022. And he recently sent me a video about, he's been doing some thinking about materialism, dualism, idealism, and the mind-body problem. Ron was a student of Jordan Peterson and John Vervaeke at University of Toronto, and he lives in Tucson, and he was baptized in the Tucson Village, the Village Church in Tucson, which is pastored by my friend, was pastored by my friend Rod Hugan, and I have quite a few connections with that church. It's a part of the Christian Reformed Church, or related to the Christian Reformed Church. They've got an interesting relationship with the Christian Reformed Church. And so he had sent me an email and said, I'd like you to watch this video. And it was an interesting video. It's sort of a fourth way on thinking about the mind-body problem. But the video that really captured my interest was this video. I no longer trust Tim Pool and Dave Rubin. Why it's important to have friends who disagree with you. The thing that caught my attention was no longer trusting Tim Pool and Dave Rubin, partly because of the video I released yesterday on David Fuller. And someone in the comment section had mentioned, yeah, there's a lot of hate in the comment section for Dave Fuller. Some of that hate is because of some of his takes on COVID. Some of that hate is because of his association with mass media and establishment media, et cetera, et cetera. So there's that. And then one of you, and you know who you are, he's from the Chicago area, sent me.
You see, what you've just witnessed is two of his different eye stalks have submitted things to him. One of which was a video of himself, and the other of which is this article.
A really delicious article. It's from the New Atlantis, How Stewart Made Tucker. And it's a very interesting piece in a lot of different ways. Sort of goes through the last 30 years of history of journalism and really made me think about collective relevance realization. To summarize a lot of the article, the thing is well worth reading. It's a fairly long article. What the article asserts is that what Jon Stewart basically did was show the way to unintentionally remake journalism. And journalism is...
What I think this article really does very nicely is like set the scene for the comedy hit Anchorman 3. Because like if you watch the comedy hits Anchorman and Anchorman 2, you really actually get a nice overview of the history of the evolution of news media in the United States. And this piece he's about to read to everybody covers the history since the onset of cable news, which was covered up until I get to the end of Anchorman 2. Freedom's lunch. I played your song at the front and no one came. But as I was saying, you notice now he's going to spend the rest of this 50 minute video mainly reading this article his second eye stalk sent him, while he started his video about how this first eye stalk sent a video of himself. He goes on, I don't know, is the part, does he go back to it? Where does he go back to it at? He's reading like the article for 20 minutes, and then he reads the tweet, and then he reads the article. And then he goes back to Ron's channel and says, he sent me this video. Hey, Joseph, magic. He sent me this video, but what I found interesting on his channel was this other video where he said Tim Pool and Dave Rubin.
What Ron Brown is complaining about when he's talking about his new dissatisfaction for Tim Pool and Dave Rubin. And spoiler alert, he says some kind things towards Sam Harris.
See, what kind of backhanded recommendation or acknowledgement of an eye stalk is it to do this sort of thing? I'll tell you what it is. It's like I pinged him on Twitter with a thing with my Thunder Bay speech, that I wasn't able to give at Thunder Bay, and I had to do as a recording here. I thought he might want to see it. And what did he go over? The Thundercats clip I played before giving the speech. You don't directly tell them how to do things like Grimgriz does, where he says, hey, go on the Discord and use the emojis to say whether or not you like the clip people are dropping, and then we're going to run it on Friday. It's a big show. And instead he just nuance and, is that what? Autotelic sounds like auto-plagiarism. Who said autotelic? Who said autotelic, Isidoro? What's up with you?
Imagine a show that took 50 years to make. It's a once-in-a-lifetime special celebrating Bob Hope's 50 years with NBC.
Just think, when I started at NBC, the Golden Girls were still using training bras.
Featuring great moments with John Wayne, Ann Gillian, Barbara Streisand, Michael Landon, and over 50 more. Bob Hope's 50th NBC anniversary Monday.
Now, before I get into the other two spots, I'd like to stop in Paul's coverage of the article sent by his second eye stalk from Chicago. But Byrne made some good points the other day. I'm going to run those for you guys so you don't miss them.
Another street. And I tell them this very specifically. And then they call up and say, they find someone to speak English and say, can you just tell us the address? And I said, I have, but you need to look at a map. It's around the corner. Now, they have an app with a map on it. But what they're looking for is the little red pin. And the little red pin does not show my actual real-world residence. So now I just give them another address entirely. That's not far from me, but at least they're on the right side of life. I don't have to, one time, because of the way the streets are here, it took them 45 minutes to go around the block. It's just, but what it is, that they don't know how to look at maps. I'm serious. The way we locate things now with the map and
How is it that Burn Power is just now getting to the point as I'm coming back into the shed? Well, I'll tell you how. The shadow cabal of production executives has not been on my ass at all about how I do things. And so, it's the topic board. I can do things like have the clip queued up to the wrong part and watch you complain. Make you watch him complain about the address thing rather than this part I'm about to play now that is actually the part Autotelic is not in the... Well, Joseph Ward, here at the Hive Mind, we have this magic power. We say, Miriam!
Decorous.
Yes, hello, Miriam, welcome. We're going to have to look up Autotelic here in a second. It's good to see you. I did welcome Isidoro. Autotelic would mean like self and telos, so you define your own telos. You choose your own adventure, is what autotelic would mean. That's my guess. That's just my guess. Now, part of the reason we use Miriam here at the Hive Mind of the Grimgriz YouTube streams is because they send us coded messages. Remember, Embody, there is no agency. And so, let's check out the coded messages from Miriam for lately. Today's word of the day is decorous. Okay, so the coded message you find by playing the word of the day backwards. Watch. The decorous rabble
rabble,
is a mnemonic for abominate avuncular spiel we proffer for gargantuan the tongue. All right, let's do it again. One more time. The decorous rabble is a mnemonic for the abominate avuncular spiel we proffer to the gargantuan for a gargantuan atone. We make gargantuan atone. Here is avuncular spiel. It's a mnemonic. And now, allotelic. No, but there's it's one L.
autotelic,
Telic. Having a purpose in and not apart from itself.
autotelic,
If breakfast were as it was meant to be, it would be a centuries-old balance of fruits, grains, and nuts. The breakfast Europeans call muesli. Now muesli comes to America as Kellogg's Mueslix. Oats, wheat, rice, corn, barley, raisins, dates, and hazelnuts. Kellogg's Mueslix. 5 grain or bran. What breakfast was meant to be.
And now, blessings to Joseph Ward, I Am Magic, Lynn Lavoie, Isidoro, and Freedom's Lunch for joining us, embodying the Hive Mind chat. Even if you're just lurking and or reading it, you're still part of it. Welcome to the Hive Mind and the Grim Gray's integral agentic framing live stream on Heart Day, October 13th, 2022. And now, the part I wanted to show you that Byrne said the other day.
And the pin off of Google or some other app, you know, the GPS coordinates and all of this has created stupidity. So that people can't use maps. They don't know how to look up something in the index of the map, find the name, locate the name. I mean, you can do this quickly. I can do it on Google in seconds. And yet these people can't do it because they're looking only for the pin and the directions. You know, they need a navigator. They can no longer navigate. That is the problem we are facing. And this isn't just happening to people delivering things here in Georgia. This is happening to everyone who relies on the devices we have. They no longer know the real world. Which then means it's really scary when you get these people worked up about anything. If you get them worked up with a social contagion, whether that's a protest of a new movement, their identities. Where are they getting their identities from? Same source. They're not getting their identities from reality. They're getting their identities from chats online. Other people who no longer look at the real world. It's the same with who to vote for, what you think is happening in the elections. It's the same with pollution. You want people to clean up the world? Well, a social contagion for a movement isn't going to do it. People, if they don't actually see the real world.
Oh no. Oh, this is a problem question.
Well, I guess it depends how you identify.
It can mean whatever you want. I know for some people it means sensitivity or softness, but for some people it means having really good fashion.
A woman is someone who identifies in a feminine way.
Someone who has identified as one.
A woman is the opposite of a man?
I've grown up believing that it is someone who's born with a vagina and the ability to give birth and everything, but apparently in this day and age things have changed, so I don't really know anymore, to be fair with you.
The question is how to see the real world. Now.
I thought of something earlier. Like, If you can consent to hormones, you can consent to brown chicken, brown cow. Remember, everybody, there is no agency. We want what's best for you. Duck, 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 duck. Lobster monkey goose! This is the Integral Agentic Framing Grim Chris Stream for Heart Day, October 13th, 2022. Okay, so I got that was the part where we talked about everybody who's disconnected into their devices is getting okay. Here's some parts of the Vanderclay I wanted to run also. Can we just let's just breathe together for a moment at the glory of the Lord. Isn't it great? They let us see this guy staring off like that. It's a moment we can all share together. Am I breathing too fast for you guys? Sorry. 20 minutes in, I wanted to run something.
Today, 2 counts. First, having to sell content to audiences rather than selling eyeballs to advertisers transforms the incentives reporters face. Advertisers like positive stories that put you in the mood to buy stuff, while readers and viewers respond to more fear or anger-inducing stories. Other than on stories explicitly affecting their businesses, advertisers don't really care what the news says, but readers like news that confirms what they already believe. Just like...
Speaking of news that confirms what you already believe, like I know all of you are familiar with the one that runs around here that goes by the all seeing you. And now this following recommendation comes from her. So I insist, if you haven't, you go way to the back of the stream and do your savings throws versus this mind control. But this Silas fella does his homework. And so, no, that's not him. So check out some of this.
Games, much like how they watch TV, they are entirely enthralled and switched off, while immersed in the experience. In all honesty, this is why video games and virtual reality are being used as the new opiate of the masses, as Harari states. Great capabilities for addiction, with little perceivable physical scars from psychological alteration, and it puts the individual into a mentally and physically docile state. For one to play video games responsibly for those otherworldly experiences, then one really has to be spiritually and mentally disciplined to discern the psychological effects and trickery at play. As said, Elder Scrolls and especially Fallout are my favourite video game series, the only ones I still play, but I understand its terrible design and flaws. As to why I like it, it is quite a mystery, as I stated previously. However, Fallout 3 changed my perspective on the fragility of the civilization and system when I played it back in 08 and 09. Up to that point, I thought America, or the West, was always going to exist into perpetuity, eternally be present here on this earth. On the opening sequence, emerging from the vault and squinting one's eyes at the light of the outside world for the first time, seeing the devastation and the...
Like, if I was gonna clip a bit, yes, Silas, he does his work. He does his work. Hey, you, Huggle, good to see you. Welcome to the Hive Mind. Look at that, Huggle and Magic and you and Bongers and Lynn and... Anyway, this is like pretty much the I don't know. It's like, you know, when you're having sex with a video and it touches you in the right place at that one part of the video. This is that part of that video. Stay tuned.
On Memorial Day, the annual showdown between Pepsi and Coke Classic begins.
Pepsi.
So go to an America's Choice taste test booth this summer and see which one you prefer. Of course, most people choose the taste of Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Which means the most challenging part of this challenge is getting to the booth. Let your taste decide. Pepsi, America's Choice.
destruction of light, back in a way going to exist into perpetuity, eternally be present here on this earth. On the opening sequence, emerging from the vault and squinting one's eyes at the light of the outside world for the first time, seeing the devastation and destruction of DC is one of those experiences where, in that moment, my entire paradigm and perspective shifted. Like Plato's cave analogy, I too in that moment unshackled myself from the post, which had fixated my gaze upon the shadows dancing on the cave wall, and I stepped out into a brave future, seeing, through the lens of art, the true dishevelled state of the civilization in which I resided, unmasking the thinly veiled facade of everything is alright, to gaze upon the horrific yet terrifying vision of the true reality, its current form beyond the lies, and its true form left as a testament to its ignoble end. I have never experienced.
So that's like great stuff, and like reminds me of my personal in-depth experience with Fallouts. Not so much the New Vegas or the whole series like that, but I've had my moments, and like one of my favorite things is all the prepackaged food gives you a little bit of radiation, like it's a subtle cue so that like the developers of the game are letting the kids know not to eat processed foods. You know, it's little things like that. Here's something special the algorithm fed me that I was like, hey, look, the algorithm actually knows what I like. This guy combines Russell Brand and the other fella. Who's the other fella? Oh, you'll know his voice.
Of the suffering,
whatever the hell it
is moving you most deeply at this moment. Let's just get the mosaic of it all, if we can.
Here, we give you the news that the news won't give you.
What is the suffering that calls to you, that hurts?
Dominant power.
The suffering of children.
Death of loved ones.
My dad is an alcoholic.
The rape of the earth.
Learning of our slavery.
Hunger in the world of plenty.
The way we lash out at each other because we're suffering ourselves.
But the reason I fear suffering is because I have the privilege of being a member of a very privileged generation in a very privileged country, and I'm unaccustomed to suffering. My adolescent years were spent in what almost everyone here would probably call poverty. I can remember only one meal where I almost didn't have enough to eat. I know there's countries all over the world where every meal means they have not enough to eat.
And it makes you look at them differently.
So I try to keep that in mind, understanding that the reality of life is that there is a lot of suffering around.
You will never understand violence or non-violence until you understand the violence to the spirit
that might lead to nuclear attack.
Like I don't like Rick Rapetti, the guy who talked to Paul and VBK, apparently trained under the guy who was being quoted in that clip there.
This one.
You picked Pepsi.
Pepsi, huh?
Only color this shiny wet looks
so light, so right, so wow, so now.
Even when it's dry. CoverGirl Nail Slicks. Color that looks wet, even when it's dry.
Even when it's dry, ladies and gentlemen, even when it's dry. Welcome. I hope you're feeling virtually not alone, as we do here on the Grim Grizz live streams on the Griswold Grim YouTube channel over on YouTube. It's the Shadow Cabal makes this all possible. That's the patrons and stuff. There's links, you know. Here's the topic board we haven't gotten through. Stalled on Writer's Room. Widows and Orphans. Tomorrowland. Shine. And LARPing Grown. Pro tip, Shine has to do with that movie, Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep. Oh wait, there was at least one more thing I wanted to run from Paul. So we're going to do that now. I think it's around 25.
Combinatorial explosiveness with respect to the news. And this is what Vervaeke and Peugeot are often talking about with respect to science, too. You have to select. You have to do relevance realization. And in fact, what we're doing collectively is collective relevance realization. And that's what the journalists are doing, and that's what I'm doing right here. Me too. What journalism gets produced.
Yeah, but me too. And the thing of it, I didn't like how much he leaned into journalism doing it, because journalism doing it is basically narrative management, and now it's evolved into avateric entertainment filters. But it wasn't very collective consciousness sense making as it is now. Now, while we have the internet, we can do participatory sense making. It's like we can come to this village of a show called the Grimgriz stream, right? And then we can leave the village and go find clips of stuff that like we think those people would be interested in and bring them back. And through this method of processing, we are becoming a collective sense-making organism, at least on Fridays when we have the monster parties. And that's all part of the integral agentic framing we do here. But remember, everybody, there is no agency. It's just us LARPing. We want what's best for you. Lobstamonkee goes. Oh, you guys gonna be here tomorrow for the monster party? We're gonna need 4 volunteers from the chat to say things like super move or attack. That's it. I'll try and spice it up, but that's all that's required of participation. This is an online onboard, a participatory onboarding program. That's a show of a ship captained by yours truly. The Discord is like the belly of the ship and the sewer. You're more than welcome there. We encourage it. You can go from just watching stuff to becoming part of something bigger than yourself. Through the Lobstamonkee Manifold and Goose and the Hive Mind Chat. And we're... Okay. Yeah, we can do it. I was going to get out the paint board for this, and I'm not doing that. But, like, one thing that Paul caught in this video here.
Induced and shared comes down to which stories are needed for different narratives.
It wasn't that part. It was how, like, the last 3 movies mentioned in the article he was reading, The Matrix, American Beauty, and the other one. How, like, it's the time of the fracturing where the internet was coming, like, to its fruition. Like 95 to 99 was like the last. And I just wanted to draw attention to like the fracturing of the cohesive meta-narrative pushed down from the top by media as the internet bubbled up. And like that's a lot of the stuff he covers in this video as far as history goes. But the angle I'm wanting to highlight to everyone's attention is the fracturing of into subcultural clusters, and it's like it went out. It's got to come back together now, and it's going to recompress. And us doing what we're doing is part of that, or at least we feel virtually not alone a little bit. For a little bit of a day, we're not all by ourselves. Gander, hi. I've not been chatty, but you are up for a monster party tomorrow. Excellent. Paint board, no, that. Board Huggle. All right, guys. Tomorrow, 30 minutes ago, but tomorrow, Monster Party Friday begins. Thanks for being here, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. And remember, it's Heart Day, so feel the love. Feel the love today. That's your homework.